I was 51 years old, alone in a hotel room in Portugal, and my body was on fire. Not metaphorically, but 104-degree fever. The sheets were soaked, my teeth were chattering so hard that I couldn't even hold my phone steady. And I remember thinking with absolute clarity, nobody knows where I am. Nobody is coming. My hands were shaking, not just from the fever, from the realization that I had prepared for pickpockets, I had prepared for getting lost, I had prepared for lonely dinners, but I had not prepared for this. And I'm just standing here today thinking, healthy, whole, and still traveling solo, to tell you exactly what I did that night, what I wish I've done differently, and the system I now use every single trip, so that if your body fails you in a foreign country, you are not caught off guard the way I definitely was. Let me take you back to that hotel room. Now, if you have ever lain awake at 2 a.m. before a trip, running through every terrible scenario in your head, what if I have a heart attack in Rome? What if I break my ankle in Tokyo? What if I get food poisoning in Marrakesh and I'm completely alone? I see you. I've been you. In fact, I want to say something that might surprise you. That fear that you're carrying, the one that keeps you up the night before a trip, is not irrational. It is not weakness. It is not a sign that you are not cut out for the solo travel. It is a sign that you are smart enough to ask the question most people ignore until it's too late. But here's what the 20-year-old backpackers on YouTube don't tell you about getting sick alone at midlife. Because their advice is usually, just go to the hostel front desk and ask for help. Yeah, that doesn't work when you're 51 alone in a hotel and you cannot string together a sentence in Portuguese. Here's the difference. At 22, the assumption is you're healthy, you bounce back fast, and worst case, you call your parents to wire money for a flight home. At our age, we have medications, we have pre-existing conditions, we might be in perimenopause, which means our bodies are already doing unpredictable things. We might not have parents to call anymore, and we are acutely aware that one medical emergency could mean tens of thousands of dollars if we don't have the right insurance. So, let me give you the framework I wish I've had before that night in Portugal. I call it rest, because when your body forces you to stop, the right preparation is what lets you actually rest and recover instead of spiraling into panic. R, recognize. Here's what I got wrong in Portugal. For 2 full days before the fever spike, I told myself I was just tired. You're 51, Nicole. You flew across an ocean. Of course you're tired. Push through. Sound familiar? We are so good at dismissing our own bodies, especially women. Especially women over 40 who have spent decades being told that our discomfort is probably nothing, that we're being dramatic, that we should just hydrate and take some Advil and get on with it. Here is the rule I now follow with absolute certainty. If a system is getting worse, not better, after 24 hours, you are no longer in push through territory, you are in take this seriously territory. For me, it was a fever that climbed from 99 to 104 in under 48 hours. For you, it might be stomach pain that doesn't ease up, a cough that deepens instead of fading, dizziness that makes it hard to stand. The R is not about becoming a hypochondriac. It's about trusting the one person who knows your body better than anyone in a foreign emergency room ever will. That is you. E is for emergency contacts. Let me ask you something. Right now, if something happened to you in a foreign country, who would know within 6 hours? Not, oh, I'll post on Facebook. Not my neighbor would notice I'm not picking up the mail. Who would know specifically that you need help? In Portugal, the answer was nobody. My partner knew I was traveling, but he didn't know my hotel name. My best friend knew the country, but not the city. And when I tried to call my doctor's office back home in the United States, I realized they were closed. It was 3 a.m., their time. So here's my e-system now, and I want you to steal every piece of it. 1. A single trusted person has my full itinerary. Hotel name, address, phone number, dates for every city. Not a vague, I'll be in Portugal. Exact locations. 2. That person and I have checked in agreement. If I don't text by noon, their time noon, not midnight, because time zones will mess you up. They try me 3 times. If I don't respond, they call the hotel. If the hotel can't reach me, they contact the nearest embassy. 3, I keep a note on my phone. I call it my ice note in case of emergency with my blood type, my medications, dosages, allergies, my doctor's name, and number back home, and my insurance policy number within the 24-hour hotline. I screenshot it, I text it to their emergency contact before I leave. None of this takes more than 20 minutes to set up. And I promise you, it is the difference between I'm scared and alone and someone knows where I am. S, seek help. This is the one that almost broke me in Portugal. Because here's what I didn't know before I got sick. Finding a doctor in a foreign country is not like finding a doctor at home. At home, you have a primary care physician. You have a network. You know which urgent care takes your insurance. In a foreign country, you are Googling English-speaking doctor near me at 10 p.m. while shaking with 104-degree fever. And the results are in Portuguese. And you don't know if the clinic is legitimate or if it's going to cost you $5,000. Let me be brutally honest with you. That moment, holding my phone with shaking hands, not knowing which ones to trust, that was scarier than the fever itself. So here's what I now do before every single trip. 1, I identify the nearest hospital or clinic to my hotel before I leave. I save the address in my Maps app. I save the phone number in my contacts. 2, I look up how many emergency services work in that country. In Portugal, it's 112, the same as most in Europe. In some countries, you dial different numbers for ambulance, police, and fire. I look this up and I put it in that ice note on my phone. 3, I check whether my travel insurance has a direct pay network in that country. Some policies make you pay up front and reimburse you later. Some have partnerships with specific hospital chains. I need to know which one I have before I'm standing at a check-in desk. 4, and this is the one nobody tells you. I learned the words for my core medical needs in the local language. Not I would like a croissant. Not where is the museum. I learned I have a fever. I am allergic to penicillin. I need a doctor who speaks English. Google Translate works until it doesn't. Until you're in a rural clinic with no data signal and you're trying to explain that you can't take a certain antibiotic. A little preparation on the S makes the scariest moment of solo travel seeking help for strangers in a strange system feel like something you have already rehearsed. T, trust your body. This is the hardest one because it is not logistical. It is emotional. When you are sick and alone in a foreign country, a very specific voice creeps in. It sounds like this. See, I told you, you're too old for this. This is what's getting you for being selfish. You should have stayed home. Sound familiar? That voice is not yours. That voice is decades of being told that women our age should be careful, should be sensible, should not take risks, and should put everyone else's needs first. And when that voice shows up, and it will, you will have to trust your body over your guilt. Here's what that looked like for me. When the fever broke on day 3, I had a choice. I could get on the next flight home, be sensible, Nicole, go home where it's safe, or I could get rest another day and then continue my trip. So I stayed, and let me tell you why. Because getting sick did not mean I had made a mistake. Getting sick meant I was a human being with a human body, and human bodies sometimes get sick. In Portugal, in Piora, in Perth, it happens. The question is not will I ever get sick while traveling alone. The question is, when that happens, do I have a system or do I have a panic? R.E.S.T framework. Recognize emergency contacts. Seek help. Trust your body. That system is what let me stay in Portugal. It's what lets me recover fully. And is what lets me board every flight now knowing that if my body fails me abroad, I am not helpless. I am prepared now. If you're sitting there thinking, Nicole, this is a lot, and I wouldn't even know where to start with travel insurance or emergency planning, I hear you. That is exactly why I offer personalized trip planning. I can walk you through every single piece of this, specific to your destination, your health needs, your comfort level. The link is in the description. Here's what I want you to take away from this video. And it's not the insurance tip. It's not the emergency contacts. It's this. You are not too fragile to travel solo. Your body is not a liability. Your age is not a disqualification. And getting sick in a foreign country, if it happens, is not proof that you are foolish to go. It is proof that you are alive and living fully, and sometimes living fully means things go wrong. The version of you who gets sick in Lisbon but still finishes her trip, she is braver than the version who stayed home because she was afraid of what might happen. You are not broken. You are not alone. You are not behind, and you are definitely not the only one lying awake at 2 a.m. wondering what you would do if your body ever failed you in a country where nobody knows your name. I'm Nicole, and you are braver than you think. If this video helped you feel a little less terrified and a little more prepared, hit subscribe, because I'm going to show you and teach you everything I've learned the hard way so you don't have to. Otherwise, drop a comment and tell me what's the one health fear that keeps you up the night before a trip. I read every single one, and I promise you, you are not the only one feeling that way. I'll see you in the next video. I post new videos every week. Bye-bye.